Jack Jensen. My wife and I, Penny, have been town site directors in Chesterfield for the past 10 years. This cabin is very special. This home, it's the home of Chester Call. He's my great-great-uncle. And how it all started was with Chester Call. He was the founder of Chesterfield. He was a bishop in Bountiful, Utah, back in 1879. And he had purchased about 300 head of horses from the tithing house. He needed a wide open space to pasture those horses. He went up around Wyoming and Idaho and came up here and found out that here in the Idaho territory, it had just opened for homesteading at that time in 1880, 79, 80. So he was excited about it, brought his horses up, and came up and filed on a homestead, 160 acres, and set up his homestead here and started a ranch. He went back to Bountiful and convinced a number of families to come up and join him, which they did. A lot of those were our relatives, my wife Penny and I's relatives, and they came up and started filing on homesteads and started ranching and farming. The things that they raised up here were mainly with some grains, barley, oats, alfalfa, and there were great cattlemen here and also sheepmen. Mostly a lot of them had sheep. But after he came up and got the town site settled, some leadership of the church came up from Idaho and they organized the church, the Word. And looking over the valley, they saw the green hills and said, "This looks like Chesterfield, England. We're going to call it Chesterfield." And Chester Call was standing there and he says, "Now wait a minute. They'll think it was named after me." They said, "Well, you're a good man, aren't you?" I said, "Yes." So it's named for two reasons: Chester Call and Chesterfield, England. Chester had two wives. He was living polygamy, Sarah and Mary. This home that he lived in with Mary, they had 9 children. The home here was not here in this exact location. It was down about a half a mile off of the town site. And so it was being used as a barn. We went and asked the owners if we could take that building and bring it up here, and they said yes. So we went down and very gently took all the boards down and brought it up here and built it exactly like it was where it was originally. Mary lived in this home. He built a home for Sarah. We lived down there across the street and down the road a ways, and built her a brick home. She had 8 children, so we had quite a family. But he did a lot of farming and ranching in this area. Now, Chesterfield was a wonderful place for the folks that came up. It was a beautiful valley, and they were excited about being here and the challenge which was ahead of them, which was a great challenge. But Chester Call was the founder. By 1900, there was about 500 people that lived in this area. There was stores. They had 3 different stores operating. They had a school, a church, and many beautiful log homes and many beautiful brick homes. The connection I have here is my mother and father were raised in Chesterfield. My father was born here, and my mother was raised here. And they farmed up here. They had two babies, and by 1930, they just could not make a living. So they moved to Boise in 1930. And my connection was that when I was a little boy growing up, they would come back to Chesterfield, and they would say, "We've got to go back to Chesterfield." They loved this area, and all of my aunts and uncles and grandpa and great-grandma, those folks who lived here loved Chesterfield. And they distilled that in the hearts of us, their descendants. And so that was the connection we had, and it was a delight to come here and hear the stories, look at the old rundown buildings, and they would tell us things that happened to them.